You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Now's a good time to remember where the story of tequila started. In 1795, the first tequila distillery was opened by the Cuervo family. And 229 years later, Cuervo is still going strong. Family owned from the start, same family, same land. Now's a good time to enjoy Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. Go to Cuervo.com to shop tequila or visit a store near you. Cuervo, now's a good time. Trademarks owned by Becle, SAB de CV. Copyright 2024. Proximo. Jersey City, New Jersey. Please drink responsibly.
Folks, whether you're hosting a game day, a movie night, DiGiorno knows that planning a watch party on a budget isn't easy. You need the perfect setting, the perfect squad, the perfect eats. And luckily you're a Game Time mastermind, and you know that grabbing DiGiorno Classic Crust Pizza can bring home the dub. Because it's packed with half a pound of cheese, sauce, and other toppings, and comes at an incredible price. Make the game-winning call and grab a DiGiorno Classic Crust Pizza from the grocery store today. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, it's the greatest thing on the sports calendar until the next greatest thing on the sports calendar. Winning pedigree, senior guard play, fake outrage over teams that were snubbed, perfectly healthy people calling in sick to work on Thursday and Friday. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, March Madness is back. You excited?
I will be on Thursday.
All right. Dan, I'll be sick this Thursday and Friday. Spoiler alert. If you haven't printed out a bracket and filled it out with a pen or a pencil, guess what? You haven't filled out a bracket.
Really?
Yep. Print it out, put pen to paper, hand it in. That's how you fill out a bracket. Greg, am I right?
Who's accepting paper brackets at this point?
I have no idea.
You have to.
I don't know.
Okay, let's do this.
An elite level slur right before.
I don't know what happened there.
Your tongue is like 45 pounds right now.
Put it on the poll, please. Is Stugotz's tongue 45 pounds? Also, our March Madness tournament that we're going to have with everybody, LeBatardAF.com is where you go. It's Merch Madness, and it's going to be interactive. If you want to do this with us, LeBatardAF.com. Do that now. It's active now.
You were objecting to what it is I was saying about printing it out, putting pen to paper?
Yes.
That's how you do it, though.
No, I mean,
it feels better when you do it that way.
Not anymore. Like, I understand in this room, we are technologically atrophied, and I understand what you're saying, but that's a particular demo over 50.
Okay. Purdue, losing a game they should have won. March, the Boilermakers. NC State, beating North Carolina in the ACC championship game after getting swept by the Tar Heels in the regular season. You know what they say, Dan?
Madness?
Hard to beat a team 3 times. Unless you're talking about Boston College and Miami, because Boston College made it look easy. The Eagles. Rick Pitino's season came to a premature finish, something Rick is all too familiar with. Rick Pitino opted out of playing in the NIT and opted into hunting down and sinking his teeth into every committee member. He's out for blood. No NIT. Your beloved NIT. In this week's edition of We Are Old, Jerome Bettis Jr. committed to Notre Dame, the minivan. See Niners' son running around on a diamond somewhere?
Did you see what Edgerrin James's son at Cincinnati, what his name is? Jizzle. Jizzle James.
JJ. I have a simple rule. If it walks like a Boilermaker, talks like a Boilermaker, and plays basketball like a Boilermaker, it's not making it past the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
The P in Purdue stands for phonies.
Whoa.
What happened? They're not good.
Put it on the poll, please. Do you know what a Boilermaker is?
You do?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's somebody who makes boilers, who takes steel and creates this boiler that holds, hot steam or hot liquid.
Okay. 8 of the 10 teams entering last week did not win their league title. 8 of the top 10 teams is what I was trying to say. March.
45-pound tongue.
FAU and Temple in the American Athletic Conference semifinals. Couple of Owls cutting it up. FAU and Temple over the weekend was a hoot. Tony, stash this away, the something to ponder file. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields at a combined $4.5 million, or Tua at $55 million. No need to discuss it now. Just stash it away for a rainy day.
Greg Cody just showed me on his computer. He just put it in front of me, and it was just the sentence, the blue whale's tongue is 2.7 tons. That's what it weighs. Put it on the poll, please, at Batard Show. Did you know the blue whale's tongue weighed, what is that, like 8,000 pounds?
That's crazy. More than a Ford F-150.
No.
Yeah.
8,000, what is 2.7 tons? I can't believe that. I cannot believe a fish. Or it's something fish adjacent, because it's not a fish.
It's a mammal.
But I know,
yeah,
but I just...
Something aquatic is what you were going for, Dan.
It's crazy. That is crazy that a tongue that heavy exists in the ocean. Like, what is that?
Aaron Rodgers said Sandy Hook was an absolute tragedy. No shit, Sherlock. Headline, Vanderbilt's Jerry Stackhouse out after 5 seasons as head coach. The first time I heard Jerry Stackhouse was the Vanderbilt head coach was when they fired him.
No.
Stack.
Come on.
I thought Kevin Stallings was still there. Death, taxes, and a team announcing Ben Simmons should be ready for the start of next season. Kevin Stefanski, some advice. Don't look over your shoulder. Top 5 guys who shouldn't look over their shoulder this coming football season.
Wow. All right. Let's see what we got here. Wow.
Ryan Day. Mike Vrabel is just a short drive away. Vrabes. Number 5, Russell Wilson. I know what Tomlin said, Fields is the future. Let me tell you something. You play bad, trust me. Fields is the now. He's the present. Jalen Hurts, number 4.
Stugotz, aren't these people who should be looking over their shoulders?
They should not. You don't want to see what's there. I mean, Jalen Hurts looks over his shoulder. You know who's sitting there? Kenny Pickett.
But
if you think for a second that Philadelphia Eagles fans won't start chanting, Kenny, Kenny, Kenny.
Do you realize that Stugotz's greatest fear as a head coach would be a backup quarterback who has a 2-syllable name because he's terrified of the chant? Like, for some
Flacco,
reason,
Flacco.
You're the opposite of leadership. You're trying to coach
Coward.
to avoid a chant.
I never thought about it that way. Some quarterbacks should have that written into their contract. And we're only signing like Christophers.
Change their names to 2-syllable names for a competitive advantage.
Number 3, Anthony Richardson. Flacco, Flacco, Flacco. That's the last guy you want there. Number 2, Kevin Stefanski. Vrabel, just a short walk away. Vrabes. And number 1, Nick Sirianni. Without being physically present, Bill Belichick will be at every single Eagles game. He will. Here come the Rockets.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Batard Show. Without being present, will Bill Belichick be at every Eagles game next year?
Spent the first half of Sunday in 27-degree weather and spent the second half of Sunday in 95-degree weather. Tale of two halves. Pittsburgh Steelers have two quarterbacks. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan?
They don't have one quarterback.
Good guess, but in this case, it might mean they actually have two.
Really? An upset.
Justin Fields, the rare backup who has better MVP odds than the starter. Crazy. The things you do when you are driving around the Midwest on a gummy in the passenger seat. Top 5 people in sports that connote St. Patrick's Day. OLI. Mike Cubbage. Get it?
Why do you like that, Greg?
Yeah, cabbage. I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anyone named Cabbage.
It's perfect. Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, wow. Sports, though.
Greg,
Oh, yeah.
Greg.
What?
Will you quit? Just quit with you hear a word and then the first thing that comes to your head it becomes Cabbage Patch
he
Kids.
said he couldn't think of a cabbage. I fed him a cabbage.
Argument. You okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Paul Beers. Number 5, Patty Mills. Number 4, Jeff Ireland.
Oh, now you finally get the fanfare.
Number 3, Ken Shamrock. Number 2, Andrew Luck. And number 1, Dan, George McGinnis.
Didn't you have a top 5 athletes who connote corn in honor of the pop-off?
Yeah, popcorn. Yeah, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Whit Merrifield is a Philly. If I shot a basketball like Amin, I would make sure nobody ever saw me shoot a basketball. It hasn't started yet, and I already missed Jim Nantz. Dan, if you close your eyes and concentrate, you know what you can smell? Augusta. It's right around the corner.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Batard Show. If you close your eyes and concentrate, can you smell Augusta?
It's election day in Russia. Spoiler alert, Putin wins. Aaron Hicks is an angel. Kyrie, do it in the playoffs without LeBron.
That was ridiculous, by the way. That was not a basketball shot. That was not a game-winning basketball shot. It was throwing a baseball left-handed.
I guess he looked at the time and he's like, all right, it's overtime. If I miss it, I can throw this up left-handed, right?
It's the only way I could get it over Jokic's fingers.
Dan, you know what Mike Tomlin is going to do with Justin Fields?
Play him?
He's going to take him for a little test drive. You know what I'm saying? Little peek under the hood. Little kick of the old tires. You get it now, right?
I do, yes. Thank you.
Good. If Sunday was your first day ever watching the NBA, you would have thought Bobby Portis was Michael Jordan. Headline, Kobe Bryant's parents are selling his 2000 NBA championship ring $100,000. Chris Paul, here's your chance.
Oh, no.
What happened? Loyola Chicago blew an 11-point lead late in regulation and missed 15 consecutive shots from the field. Do you know what the S in Sister Jean stands for, Dan?
I do not.
It stands for Sister Jean choked.
Oh, no.
I'm going to hell.
No.
Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. It's springtime. And while every time is a good time for Miller Lite, springtime is among the best. I was sitting out in my backyard watching some flowers bloom and some beautiful birds swimming from royal fishtail palm to royal fishtail palm. And I had a Miller Lite in my hand and I said, yeah, this is the good life. Over the years, a lot has changed. One thing that hasn't, the great taste of Miller Lite. It was the original light beer, and to this day, it is still the very best one. Miller Lite has more of the taste that you want and less of the stuff that you don't. Oh, Miller Lite, you are always there for me. I thank the heavens for you every time I'm sitting on my back patio and I take a sip. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. As Meadowlark Media continues to grow as a content studio and as a multimedia company, we strive to hire only the best and the most qualified candidates. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, they've made it easy for us to find them. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of the small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/prep. That's linkedin.com/prep to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Don Le Batard.
That bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Stugotz.
Walk to the ocean.
What?
Walk to the ocean.
I really have no money.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I'll do the show without you.
I don't like.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We've got our pop-off later in the show. Greg Cody, the Corn King, against my popcorn. That'll be probably in the post-game. We've got some local hour stuff that I want to do in the next segment. But Ron Magill is with us now. And before we get to stuff with Ron Magill, I don't know because of demographics whether the answers will be different generationally, but Aaron Taylor Johnson has been offered the role of James Bond, evidently. James Bond, one of the most iconic film series you will ever find.
007.
Thank you, Stugotz.
You got it.
A lot of people criticize Daniel Craig, but they warmed up to him. So I ask you, who was the best 007 at Le Batard show? And your choices are going to be Daniel Craig and Sean Connery and Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan. Who is your choice, Ron Magill, for the best of all the 007s?
Definitely Sean Connery. The original was the best. He set the tone.
Was he was before Roger Moore?
Yes.
Sean Connery?
He was the original.
He was
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
The very first.
Right.
Okay.
Going up against Odd Job.
What?
With the razor brim hat. You don't remember Odd Job?
I do remember that name. Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't remember his name. I do remember the hat.
Yep.
Yes, for those of you who do not know, the nemesis of 007 was an Asian man who flung a hat that had like knives on it or blades or whatever.
Who throws the hat?
Is it like a Peaky Blinder?
Kind of like, yeah, one of those kinds of hats.
An amazing weapon, though.
Yeah,
You think about it. Right.
If you're accurate, yes. It's kind of a shitty one if you're not.
A deadly fedora.
You have to be very accurate with the hat. Otherwise, you're just throwing a razor blade hat at somebody.
Yeah.
I want to play. We're going to update some things here with our tournament. I think because of Billy, we did a very poor job of that yesterday. It was just a general sprawling mess. And I don't know if something like this will have made our tournament of oddities, but I just want to play one of the more memorable moments we've had with Ron Magill here, where he was talking to someone he thought was a doctor, but was actually Adam McKay. Hold on a second.
When you tell me, sir, with all due respect, when you come on here and you say you have 69 Nile crocodiles, do you understand what that means? Okay, that means that not only are you giving pleasure to the crocodile, but the crocodile's giving pleasure to you. At least
that is an accurate description of what happened. This was a 14-foot Nile crocodile.
In this country, sir, that in most states is illegal. It's considered bestiality.
I don't know if that made the tournament in any way. I hope it did. We were just talking before you came on, Ron, about the blue whale's tongue being 2.7 tons, which I simply couldn't believe that something like that could, like, what is a mathematical fact that you could give us that would top that one if you were just trying to impress us? The blue whale's tongue weighs 2.7 tons.
Well, the trunk of an elephant has over 40,000 individual muscles just in the trunk.
And how impressive is that as a limb compared to the other limbs that animals have? Is that the most impressive of all the limbs?
Oh, yeah. For me, by far. By far.
What do all of those things do?
They just are able to move the trunk in so many different ways. You know, the trunk of an elephant can take down a huge tree or it can pick up a dime. I mean, the dexterity of that limb is absolutely unbelievable.
You seem stunned by that, Greg.
The idea of an elephant trunk picking up a dime is more surprising to me than an elephant knocking over a tree.
I know, but that's diversity. That's the dexterity of that limb. That's what makes it so amazing.
They've been picking up dime pieces since the dawn of time.
I have seen an elephant pick up a dime with its trunk.
What's he do with it? Invest it, or does he spend it?
Oh, my
It's usually
God.
at Hillstone during happy hour. Ron, what's going on with sawfish in the Keys? They're acting very bizarrely.
I wish I knew, Mike. They're dying off, and it's something that's a big red flag, and I hope they can find the cause of this because it is it is a protected fish. It's becoming an endangered fish, and it could be an indicator of a much bigger problem.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about because this is an endangered species, as you outlined. And for those that haven't seen the videos that have been trending locally, and I know newscasts have picked up on it, these sawfish are essentially beaching themselves and acting very erratic, attacking people that are trying to help them. It's a truly bizarre video, and no one knows the root cause of this because they're doing this in mass.
Are there any good theories, Ron, that you've heard?
No, I mean, I've just heard there's some kind of toxin in the water, some kind of something in the air that is, invading and making a neurological issue with these fish because it seems to be a neurological issue, but nobody knows what is causing it.
Ron, I saw a video on Instagram that said that you can't choke an owl. Is that true?
I don't think that's true. I think if you try to choke an owl, you're going to get taloned to death. Tony, what's going on with the hair? I'm sorry, I just joined on.
What's the deal with owls?
He's suffering the punishment of being Jerry Seinfeld today. But
okay. I was just trying to figure out what that was because it's scary.
Are you alleging? Is this video alleging that it is impossible to successfully choke an owl?
That's what the video said. Again, I'm just giving you the data.
I'll choke the shit out of an owl.
I think an owl probably can be choked. I mean, it certainly has a neck, and it certainly is a fragile neck. I mean, but whether it can defend itself with those talons, whether you're going to be able to do it easily is not the question. It is possible, though. I just can't see it not being possible.
Remember when John Chaney threatened to kill John Calipari in that press conference? I'll kill you! That was a great moment.
Can you guys find the video for that, please? Because it was a great moment, and we can all relive it right now. Incidentally, Tony, every time I look at you, I see someone different. Right now, it's 1960s era's Beatles.
Yes.
Kick your ass!
We'll get that in a second, Mike. Settle down. Ron, in some sad news, I've got some video to play for you here, but it was national news, sad news. A young giraffe at Zoo Miami died from a broken neck after running into a fence. What happened there? Because you guys are very careful about how you protect every animal there, but the giraffes especially.
I wish I knew, Dan. The giraffe was found dead in the morning. First check in the 7 a.m. in the morning. Had been dead for probably several hours because rigor had already set into the animal's body. None of the other giraffe that were with that giraffe had any sign of injury or trauma. We didn't see any tracks of any animals like coyotes or bobcats or anything like that, or dogs surrounding the area. It's obvious or apparent that something frightened that calf, that juvenile, that made it run into a fence and break its neck. I wish I had an answer to it. There's no way to sidestep it. It's a tragedy that happened. We're monitoring the herd all the time now. I think we're considering putting cameras back there to see if there's something going on that we are not aware of. But again, the fact that none of the other 10 giraffe, that show any signs of any trauma or any kind of injury, who knows? Maybe it stepped on a scorpion or something. Something really freaked it out that individually affected just that animal. I wish I had an answer, but it was certainly a tragic loss.
The plural of giraffe is giraffe?
Yeah, both giraffes and giraffe. I've heard it both ways.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Plural of giraffes. Giraffes or giraffe? Let me play for you from the Fort Worth Zoo here. Elmo the gorilla is released back into his enclosure. You've told us the stories about this happening occasionally at zoos all over. There were 2 zookeepers already in there. So what happened in this situation, and what was going to happen in this situation? What do you do in this situation when the gorilla comes running out and there's still zookeepers in there? Was that gorilla about to do something bad?
No. You know, that's a big misconception. Everybody's like, oh, the gorilla's out to kind of kill these people. No, the gorilla was very upset. There's no question about it. But I'm telling you, the gorilla was also frightened. It's a big male, and he's basically displaying. He's using body language to threaten the people to leave. He does not want to have a physical conflict with those people. And those keepers were smart. They reacted perfectly. They didn't turn their back. They tried to slowly get their way out of the exhibit without causing any kind of panic. But what that gorilla is doing, what gorillas do to other gorillas in the wild, they will use this body language. They make themselves look as big as possible. They make the hair stand up on their arms. They tighten their lips. They arch their backs, and they look very powerful like that. And that's their visual body language saying, get out of here. You do not belong here. But I'm going to tell you right now, that gorilla's heartbeat was at a very accelerated rate. He was probably as frightened or as agitated as those keepers were. That was obviously a human error. Those keepers went in there when they thought the gorilla had been secured, when it had not been secured. By the way, that happened sometime last year. It's just that video just now came out. But I think it proves the point that these animals, they want to avoid that physical conflict whenever possible. And he was going through a series of steps, classic of a gorilla, showing this dominance, showing that without actually physically attacking the keepers. And to him, it worked because they eventually left the habitat as soon as they had the opportunity. Case closed.
More recently, on the National Geographic show Queens, we've got Sophia the killer whale, a 60-year-old orca, a grandmother, captured on camera killing a great white shark. How rare is this video? You've told us before about the killer whale being able to do this, but I have not seen it before. So how rare is this footage?
The footage is extremely rare. I don't think the actual incident is rare, though. You know, I know in South Africa, I've been to South Africa where I've watched white sharks in the water, and then I've gone back when the white sharks have totally evacuated the entire bay because killer whales have taken residence there. And it's really disturbed the South Africans because it's ruined a huge part of their economy. People pay a tremendous amount of money to go out in these shark cages to observe white sharks, and now they've evacuated the bay out there in South Africa because the killer whales are there. So killer whales do effectively kill great white sharks. They will actually cause great white sharks to evacuate areas. So it's not uncommon that it happens, but it is very uncommon to get it on film.
How about this orca doing this to a bottlenose dolphin? It's a short video, but what do you make of this video?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
An orca basically jumps out of the water and gets the dolphin in midair.
Don't know what to tell you about that. Again, you know, orcas are predators. And they are, you know, capable of eating dolphin. I don't know that they do on a regular basis, but they are fish eaters. Of course, dolphins are mammals. I understand that before everybody jumps on my stuff here. I don't know what the purpose was behind that. I don't know if it was aggression, if it was play. I don't know what it was, but great video. I mean, incredible video.
How about this animal video of an owl trying to attack something that would become a wildcat?
Owl trying to attack something?
That's your cue video to play the John Chaney video.
For giving them hell down in West Virginia. And here you get a hell of a job right here today. Good job. 3 class guys. And you pick them out here and single them out. You can't get that together near the threatening guys. Shut up, goddammit. You're the threatening guy. I'm killing you. You remember that. When I see you, I'm going to kick your ass.
Wow.
Kick your ass.
Wow.
Come on. You got a good team, and you don't need that edge. That's why I was telling my kid to knock the kid in the mouth. Standing there pushing him the game.
Wow. That's hostile. That's very hostile.
That's March.
Your reaction to that was the same as it was to the orca hitting a bottlenose dolphin in midair. Ron, good seeing you again, sir. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, guys. Have a good week.
If I see you again, I'm going to kick your ass.
Don Le Batard.
I miss crank windows. Too many unnecessary conveniences now. Cruise control. Please, I've got cruise control built in. It's called my right foot. It controls how fast the car goes. No button or steering wheel lever needed. Power steering. There's another one. Why do I want to give my power to the car? The power that I once had. The car is a ton of metal. I'm a damn college graduate.
Stugotz.
Bluetooth, HD radio, satellite. I'll take AM, please, with Wolfman Jack talking through the static, and I'll crank the windows down so everybody can hear. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Roy, you're usually good at this stuff, rummaging through the Wayback File. Greg Cody's wheezing laugh reminds me of the wheezing laugh of some sort of cartoon character that I'm not able to place which cartoon character it was that laughed like this. Cody's just general late...
Snidely Whiplash's dog. Mutley.
Cody's just general late... I think he might be right about that. I'm not totally sure, but there is a laugh in cartoon land that sounds like the aged, decrepit laugh of one Greg Cody when he can't quite get the wheeze out correctly, so it's just sort of muffled. Cody's just general late... We'll see if video can track down the laugh I'm talking about.
It is Mutley. I've confirmed it.
Roy's good at that.
Yeah.
He's got
it. Dick Dastardly, by the way, who was the owner of Mutley the dog. There's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. It's like The Perils of Penelope Pitstop, I think.
Ow!
Would you consider him his owner? They kind of were like a duo.
Yeah.
They were an evil doing duo. To just break it down to pet owner dynamics is a little complicated.
Yeah, that's true.
It's layered. It's nuanced.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a lot of local stuff to get to. I'm wondering if Mike and Roy suffered any sort of post-traumatic stress disorder from losing at home to the Tampa Bay Lightning and watching 5 goals scored by the Lightning, which isn't something we've seen happen a whole lot to the Panthers this year.
What an unbelievable game that was over the weekend. By the way, ESPN came out with its top 10 active rivalries in the NHL, and the Panthers made this list twice.
Wow.
And the number 3 overall rivalry was with the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was an old school loss to the Lightning in that Bobrovsky seemed to let everything in early and 88 was just out of his mind. What was the final shot total, Roy?
In the second and third periods, it was 38-5 in favor of the Panthers. Unfortunately, with those 5 shots on goal from Tampa, 3 of them were allowed in the net by Bob.
What an unbelievable game. What a moment this league is having right now. Night after night after night, there seems to be a division leader at a division leader with a lot to play for. And now Ovechkin, in his peak male form, has gotten the Washington Capitals back into the playoff race. The skill that these guys are playing with right now, I was locked in. I made it a plan. My weekend was I'm watching the Lightning play the Panthers, and I'm making it home in time to take a gummy and watch the Oilers take on the Avalanche. And Nathan McKinnon's walk-off overtime assist winner that he bounced off his skate to his stick with a pinpoint accuracy to win that game with less than a second left. This sport is intense right now. There is playoff level intensity being played every night. The skill is out of this world. All the teams seem to be good. There are going to be legitimately good teams that are missing the playoffs. This is actually one of the few sports that can afford to expand because there are just so many good teams in the league right now.
And Nathan McKinnon's going to end up winning the Hart Trophy this season. I mean, if you look at the wild card standings in the Eastern Conference, this is up for grabs. This is between like 5 teams right now. Between the Lightning, the Capitals, the Red Wings, the Islanders, and the Sabres, it's going to be interesting seeing who's going to get the first and second wild card.
The Panthers' schedule specifically is just a great example of what the schedule is like right now in the NHL. They're off for a few days, and then they pick right back up with 6 games in 10 nights. Nashville, New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, the Islanders who are battling for a playoff spot. It is out of this world right now, and I really hope that people give it a chance because there is nothing better than the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is super intense, especially if you're in one of those markets where those teams go on a run. There are so many great
You're
teams
saying
right now.
basically that someone else this year, the Panthers barely made the playoffs last year and then end up in the Stanley Cup final. You're saying that can happen again, that there are enough good teams that an 8 can wipe out a President's Trophy winner?
I'm saying a team that would miss the playoffs, if you simulate the playoffs, there are a couple of different incarnations where those teams that are OLI probably make a deep run. The sport is that hotly contested right now. It's just...
But you can see the Lightning getting there, right?
Dude, we've seen hot goalies, whether it be Jaguar or 88 back in his day. We've seen
88.
I hate 88. And the thing is, he's been
You're terrified of him.
He's been terrible all season.
Really bad season by his standards. In fact, the Florida Panthers, the last time they played Vasilevsky, put up a tutty on him.
You're scared of him. You're so scared.
He's
Even during timeouts, like the splits this guy does, just when he's like hanging out, waiting for the play to start back up, he's intimidating.
Yeah. Didn't help matters that the Panthers hit the post like 5 times in that game. But that's one of those games, and I know Matthew Tkachuk got hammered for his quotes after the game because he's actually getting hit with, wow, that didn't sound so confident. We can hang with these guys, was a quote. The guy that said in his locker room, we're coming back and winning in this building when they were an 8 seed playing the 1 seed Boston's getting hit with lack of confidence. Get out of here with that. Oddly enough, the Bruins-Panthers made this top 10 list of rivalries, and I don't feel like it's there.
No.
It's not.
I figured it was Carolina.
Carolina for sure
Yeah.
for me. Maybe they're doing the thing because Bruins-Panthers was the highest rated NHL game of quite some time. That Game 7 in Boston. I don't feel like there's a rivalry there, but whether it be the Oilers, the Avalanche, the Stars, the Panthers, the Rangers, the Bruins, or you could maybe make a shout of any of those other teams that are just outside of that, get hot. There's so many teams that can win this cup right now. To have an overwhelming favorite to win the President's Trophy, which the Panthers are, seems like a misstep. Because right now, I don't think this late into a year have you seen the favorite be in the plus 650 range. Usually it gets down a little bit lower, but it's a toss-up.
I believe that I can stun both Greg Cody and Stugotz by asking them, do you know who the AAU College Hockey Division III National Champion is? Either one of you.
Would you expect me to?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes.
Say it again. What is it?
The AAU College Hockey Division III National Champions.
It's wordy.
I would say Rhode Island.
I would say New Hampshire.
It's the University of Miami.
What?
Hockeytown, USA. They're climbing up to Division II. I believe Matthew Schneider's kid plays for this team, by the way.
I don't think Rhode Island or New Hampshire is in Division III.
Yeah, they would be high.
that.
This is club hockey. You know, they don't have the same kind of funding. This isn't inside the NCAA, but the Miami hockey program has been good for quite some time, playing some of their games at Kendall Ice Arena and whatnot. But they're making a climb.
I wanted to circle back around because Cody mentioned this earlier, and I know Mike has been wanting to talk about it. Mike has gotten very close to the University of Miami women's basketball team. Mike, and I don't know if I've already betrayed you by saying this on air, but when you get angry at the University of Miami basketball, the men's basketball team, you have accused them of quitting because they just were so terrible in a way that was confusing, right? Because Miller and Wong were important last year, but not that important that the Hurricanes would lose all of their games for 6 weeks at the end of the season and not be competitive, really. But one of the things you guys mentioned is that, yes, the NCAA announced Miami as the number 1 overall seed for the WBIT and put out press release and bracket explaining Miami as the number 1 team. Stony Brook announces that they were playing Miami, and then Miami declines the invitation. So James Madison is added and made the number 1 overall seed after not being in, right? Like,
yeah.
So you've got a 1 seed that wasn't even in the tournament because Miami's just like, never mind, we're not going to do this.
I haven't spoken to people because this truly came as a shock. And I don't pretend to know everything about the women's basketball game. My focus is pretty singularly focused on the Miami Hurricanes basketball team and what happens inside the ACC. But all the coverage that I consumed throughout the ACC tournament and Selection Sunday, it was a foregone conclusion that Miami had done enough to get into this tournament. Yeah, is 9 teams from one conference a lot? Were they the 9th team? Yes. But most of these people that do this for a living, if not all of them, had Miami in after they won UNC. They didn't after they beat UNC in the tournament. They said that they were independent of that result. They went into that tournament, get the extra win. They should be safe. Getting no reward for making a push to the Elite Eight last year, totally forgotten. And the coverage on Selection Sunday, and I understand why we're here. Caitlin Clark is a megastar, huge drawing power, but it is so focused on the top seeds. You couldn't get a word in edgewise about a 2 seed, let alone a bubble team. No one was held accountable. They have this 10-minute interview with someone from the committee. Miami is not brought up once in it, and I'm truly upset by it because everyone that's supposed to be an expert in this field said, for sure, Miami is getting in, and there is zero explanation as to why.
It was major disrespect for the program and for Katie Meyer after what they did last year. When you reach the Elite Eight, you have to have the benefit of doubt.
Fight through it. Fight through it.
You're almost there.
You have to have the benefit of doubt. They weren't even a bubble
hold
team.
On. Gather yourself and let's just play Mutley laughing. Gather your voice. Gather your strength.
Is that Greg or Mutley?
Roy, you didn't even talk to Roy about that, and he brought it up and knew exactly what cartoon from whatever.
I know. He has wheelhouse. He's a bit of a savant. Just general late. Greg, you want to try again?
Yeah, I don't often get angry at something like this, but I was angry on behalf of UM because such a slap in the face. They were disrespected. They make the Elite Eight. They go 19-12. They beat then the number 4 team in the country. They didn't have a perfect season. They were 8-10 against the ACC, 2-7 against ranked teams. But still, when you're an Elite Eight team and you go 19-12 the next season.
Last season doesn't count, though.
It should earn some respect.
It should, in terms of prestige. It really should. They had a ranked win at Mississippi State against a good team there. The home win against NC State. I thought we were in a little trouble when NC State got a 3 seed because I thought they were better than that. Katie Meyer absolutely maximized the talent on this roster. This is a rebuilding year for the Hurricanes. They'll be fine. They have a top 10 class coming in. Katie Meyer and her staff are exceptional at what they do. I'm a little bit more worried about the men because Heavy was a head that wears a crown of the blue blood, and we choked under that pressure.
Yeah.
And it seemed the men ended the season on a 10-game losing streak.
Embarrassing.
I think all the accusations that I've had down the stretch that this team might have quit on them, they were warranted because that was quitting time.
They should have gotten in based on last year. What are you guys talking about? It's not about what you did last year. It's about your resume this year. Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
He's right.
Obviously, the Miami men making the Final Four last year doesn't translate when you have a losing record and end with 10 losses in a row.
It's not about last year.
It's about pedigree.
We're having two different conversations. For the women, yeah, what you do in recent years does actually matter.
Absolutely.
But it shouldn't. The measurement is this year.
I understand, but it's taken into consideration all the time when you have these blue blood programs on the bubble. It is.
And they weren't even a bubble team. Bracketology had them the 9 seed last time I looked. I mean, that's not even close to being a bubble team. Now, Larrañaga, I don't know what his excuse is because when you look at that team.
He had a lot of them.
Okay, I know, but you follow it more closely
Hold on,
than
let's
I do.
hear from Larrañaga on this. Let's just hear and then have your wheezing thoughts afterward.
A very popular thing to do to put your name in the transfer portal. There are approximately 4,000 or a little bit more Division I players. There's going to be 2,000 in the portal. That means half the players in college basketball are looking for a new destination. Does that make any sense to anybody? It doesn't to me. Because in my mind, a lot of those players that put their name in are actually saying, I'm giving up on myself. I have to go someplace else because I can't prove myself here. And to a certain degree, that could be true. But on a lot of cases, those kids, as you get older, you get better. You know, my coaches and I talk about it all the time. How many guys have transferred out of here and enjoyed greater success? Either their team won more or they became the star of the team like they envisioned when they left. So you can look at the 4 that transferred last year and tell me what you think.
I'm sorry, but they had a healthy team. I think their top 7 scorers all played at least 25, 27 games. There's no excuse to end with a 10-game losing streak that turns you from a mid-seed back to defend your Final Four into an embarrassment with a losing record. It's just the way that season ended for them was almost unheard of.
I agree largely with your point. They had a ton of injuries. They did not have a consistent lineup. I think they had the most starting fives, different starting fives inside their own conference. They had very annoying, nagging injuries that happened all year long. That is an explanation. There was tons of excuse making, I think, in that post-game press conference. A little red flaggy, I think. Anytime you have an aging coach, just get on the pulpit and lament the transfer portal. But this team is actually not that far away, especially if Omer, who can come back, does indeed come back. If Pack comes back, they have one of the most prized recruits in the history of the athletics program, all sports, in Jalil Bethea coming in. He's a number 2 recruit in the nation presently, may get bumped up to number 1. They're not that far off. And so far, the people leaving were really kind of part of the problem when you look at on-court performance.
If the 10-game losing streak is attributed to a team quitting on itself or on its coach, what would be the reason for that? Because 10 losses ago, they were absolutely an NCAA tournament team.
I'm confused by a couple of things here. I thought Poplar was going to be a lot better, and I thought that you could offset the Wong-Miller loss by getting Cleveland from FSU. I really thought that was going to make some kind of difference.
Cleveland was not the defensive fit that Jordan Miller was. Jordan Miller allowed them to do a lot of things defensively.
I loved him at FSU.
Poplar, he developed a hitch in his shot. And we saw early in Poplar's career, he did not trust his shot. Kansas left him wide open, and then he had an unbelievable year, probably built himself into a lottery pick, and now he's at the point in his career where he may have to come back because of the mental aspects of the game. Miami played a really bad brand of basketball. 5 guys standing around the perimeter, taking the worst shots or turning the ball over. They played like they quit. This isn't a results thing. If you watch those games, these were horror shows.
You couldn't lose more than 10 times in the 10 times that they played.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. It's springtime. And while every time is a good time for Miller Lite, springtime is among the best. I was sitting out in my backyard watching some flowers bloom and some beautiful birds swimming from royal fishtail palm to royal fishtail palm, and I had a Miller Lite in my hand, and I said, yeah, this is the good life. Over the years, a lot has changed. One thing that hasn't, the great taste of Miller Lite. It was the original light beer, and to this day, it is still the very best one. Miller Lite has more of the taste that you want and less of the stuff that you don't. Oh, Miller Lite, you are always there for me. I thank the heavens for you every time I'm sitting on my back patio and I take a sip. It tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
Pulling up to Mickey D's just for drinks? Oh yeah, that's me. Nothing extra, just perfection and a straw. Coming in hot for the coldest cups on the block. Because there are drinks. Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
Mix things up with any size lemonade or sweet tea for $1.49. Perfect with our classic fries. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.